Many insurers find themselves in limbo. On the one hand, they are convinced that digital transformation and innovation is essential and that insurtechs play a key role. On the other hand, they find it hard to keep up with the big multinationals. Their resources are scarce. They question if they have state of the art innovation programs. And it is virtually impossible to stay up to date with regard to the latest and the hottest insurtechs. Sounds familiar? Fortunately, there is a solution. Why not team up with like-minded insurance carriers with similar challenges? If you cooperate, you definitely have the required skill to stay top of the league. In this talk show, several insurance carriers will share why they started to work together, why they joined the InsurTech Hub Munich, and what it entails in practice and what the results are so far. Spoiler alert, more than they could have accomplished on their own.
Welcome. My name is Connie Dorstein and I have the pleasure to moderate this talk show for DIA today. A talk show spanning insurers and insurtechs, all united around the topic of innovation, how to leverage scale through cooperation. Harold Rosenberger is a board member at Nürnberger with a track record in transformative change. Next, we have Izu Atsushi, GM InsurTech in Europe for the Japanese life insurer Dai-ichi. He is our bridge between East and West. Our next panelist is Christopher Meyer Mulleringhoff, Head of Innovation at LV 1871, a life insurer that is obviously propelling 150 years onwards into an infinite digital future. Bernadette Frech, the CEO of InstaHelp, brings another major topical issue to the table. Her tagline is, "When her mental health matters." And finally, Benny Bennett Jurgens, who founded his company NEC to tackle IT issues in an online-centric manner, teaches us how you take identity and trust, not from people to screen, but form it around artificial intelligence. Although you're calling in from Germany, from Austria and Japan, there's one tight knot linking you all, the InsurTech Hub Munich network. I would love to discuss with you today the value of a community like this, especially in these demanding times.
That's a good starter, Connie. If there was no corona, we would have met in Amsterdam right now, wouldn't we? Many of us would have come directly from Munich, where InsurTech Hub hosted its Healthy Meets Insurance Showcase a few days ago. Now maintaining contact and community building basically is a virtual thing. And what is very positive is that the current situation has made us all more globally minded. I can hop on and hop off a meeting in, say, New York within seconds. I can tune in to a visionary talk broadcast from South Africa tomorrow without leaving even my desk. So that's a great thing. But how many new deep friendships, how many lasting relationships have we made up this year? That's a good question.
Those networks help, and it's of course helpful to set them up beforehand, before COVID kicked in. So lucky us, we have those wonderful networks, can work on them. And on the other side, we are as well lucky because we are on the sunny side with our industry. There are other industries feeling quite bad at the moment. So we can now use all our networks and help to bring innovation forward. And of course, it would be better to meet all of you guys in Amsterdam, but this we'll do next year. So see you then.
I see we all feel the same about the situation, trying to make the best of it. As you mentioned, InsurTech Hub Munich is a very tight-knit community. Harold, your company Nürnberger has been one of the founding partners when the network was created back in 2016.
Right. There were innovators in those days. So it was like those big incumbents, Munich Re, Allianz, Generali, and those small local champions like Nürnberger or the Versicherungskammer. And those competitors met. And fortunately, I was part of this. So I was working for Munich Re, was part of all those workshops, still people wearing suits and stuff and really all very insurance-like. And they brought this topic together. They built what it is now. And of course, now it's even more. It's a far bigger cooperation. So there like those world champion kicks in like Microsoft or SAP. And now it's even more diverse, more globally. And it's just, for me, now a little bit from outside because I'm not part personally anymore, but our team, of course, is. So it's wonderful to just see what happened the last 4 years. So it's amazing.
This brings us to you, Isu. Please shortly introduce Daiichi to our viewers who might not be familiar with the company. And then also please tell us what exactly drives a Japanese insurer who isn't even operating in Europe to join a network in such a faraway region.
Thank you, Connie. Daiichi Life is one of the largest life and health insurance companies in Japan and active in 8 different countries, mainly in Southeast Asia. Our company exists since 1902, so we can say the company has a heritage and it's comparable to the big European insurers. To answer to your second question, as a fundamental policy of the company, to provide the best has always been a philosophy. The words of the founder, the best, rather than the largest, represent this and what's best in a group. So I can very much agree with what Harald mentioned. Daiichi has been connected to the startups and the hotspots globally. We have labo and research center in Tokyo, Silicon Valley, and Singapore, and maintain close relationship in Israel as well. And InsurTech Munich is one of our most important friends to access to the ecosystem in Europe. I can say that I have been impressed by the quality of German and European startups and their approaches to solve social issues. If you ask me, they are even more sophisticated in business model and match with Daiichi's strategy than what we see on any other areas.
I guess we all love to hear that. Thank you, Isu.
And I'm quite sure the community itself enhances the chance of business development with startups to secure future society. We have participated in InsurTech Munich program since last year and seen really promising solutions. Let's say, that Japan is one of the most advanced countries in the world, such as aging society, etc. And there is a great need for services that help and solve serious challenges in the society, which other countries will one day also be facing in near future. Thanks to the program, every seed of business ideas we have now and seeds of technologies startup has can be defined and tuned through the interaction so that we can distribute products and services that meet the needs and expectations of very diverse customer groups.
It is obvious that the challenges we are facing in different parts of the world are not this different. It's at community events like HealthX Insurance or DIA today that we can exchange viewpoints, experiences, and best practices, and then do the math once we return to our desks.
Bernadette and Benny, it's great to have 2 founders on this panel. Both InstaHelp and Next are very successful startups, and I know that you have participated in different accelerators in the past. How much of your success do you actually owe to the connections made during these programs?
Thanks for having us, Connie. I think we owe a lot to the ecosystem we are part of. You need a strong network, which enables you to realize, to help you to build what you're dreaming of. But the foundation have to be laid somewhere first. I do think that an accelerator or an industrial association is something very suitable for that. But here one must say that you definitely need to differentiate between those communities who define themselves by talking rather than by doing. You need to use your time wisely. If you want to build up something big or small, you need to walk the walk and not just talk the talk.
Oh yes, I can absolutely see your point, Benny. I've just been appointed to the Austrian Federal Ministry of Digitalization and Economics Startup Committee. And so I learn a lot about other entrepreneurs' struggles, expectations. And as you said, If you and your team is already working, let's say 12-hour shifts, you might appreciate someone offering you a nice piece of hot pizza from time to time, but you also want the talks to be meaningful. So this time is money is very true for any entrepreneur because your runway is only that long.
That's straight to the point. I love your openness. Actually, insurance isn't known to be an industry of fast decision makers. So how do you manage not to run out of funding before you can put a seal on a partnership?
That is in fact a challenge. But I don't think this problem is exclusively to the insurance industry. And if there is one good thing to say about this year of crisis, it's that it has massively accelerated digitalization, innovation, and curtailed decision-making processes. We InstaHelp as a mental health startup, our services are much sought after, as basically every one of us is facing uncertainties, anxieties, loneliness. So today, corporate partners are much faster in removing hurdles that might have stood in the way for corporations with startups only recently.
I like to highlight again the importance of knowing the right people to reach out to. And I think that's where communities and innovation hubs or an engaged VC comes in. They are invaluable in matchmaking and introducing you to the new allies you might need in the future. And you will definitely need this network because the network defines what you are capable of doing.
I like the expression that people at InsurTech Hub Munich came up with, so-called concierge services. They act as intermediaries for us as entrepreneurs, as well as their corporate network and investor network. And that's super effective for all sides.
I fully agree. Having access to those pre-selected startups is just super helpful for us. And our team, headed by Julia, which is now getting any bigger and bigger because innovation becomes more important within Nuremberg, and not just like an innovation department, but everyone is becoming responsible and having ideas. So it is helpful to have those startups, to have them pre-selected. So it's a wonderful job of all the people in Munich.
Christopher, it's not the first time today that Bernadette and you are meeting.
That's right. LV 1871 has started a cooperation with InstaHelp earlier this year. And as Bernadette has already mentioned, this was a very timely decision. I think that many of us have a hard time during the corona situation. So psychological help and guidance is needed more often and by more people than ever.
So your cooperation basically was a very fast reaction to a daunting situation?
Frankly, no. We have been in talks with InstaHelp back when Corona still was a beverage you ordered at the beach bar. And I wouldn't want this partnership to be seen as a short-lived marketing stunt during the crisis. It's actually based on the strong belief of us in the importance of prevention, which is a win-win situation for insurers and the insured. Maybe in these special days, the psychoanalysts from InstaHelp often have to act as emergency helpers. But once we are steering back into less turbulent waters, I'd rather see them as a life companion for our customers, lending an open ear and giving guidance whenever needed.
Of course, COVID is from a human being perspective and for many industry, a really big disaster. However, on the other side, it put us in a completely different position and forced us to be more innovative. So for us, it was possible to bring safely home all our employees within 2 weeks, and it worked really, really well. So IT system worked, so no really big fuck ups there. And now the people are in there, they're even more efficient. And so from an innovative perspective, it's a wonderful position. It won't go back. It was a big challenge, but it boosted us a couple of years forward. And so from this perspective, I'm really thankful what we could see the last couple of months.
Do you think that you're moving beyond the networks that were needed yesteryear to spark the fire?
I'm sure that communities such as InsurTech Munich will remain important. They are bridging cultural and geographical divides. Actually, I think that many of us have started to discover unimagined strengths of diversified approach, as Harald just has mentioned, I'd like to emphasize the importance of broader approach through the community. Both of the similarity and differences of social environment and people's demand can surely increase the possibility to be adapted and scaled. Even in case one solution cannot fit in certain conditions, there should be, I believe, different opportunities and needs in different areas. I would like to ask European companies to discover these market potentials, especially, of course, of my home country, Japan, who doesn't have so many startups in like Europe. So for startups, there's less competition and huge demands, actually.
And if I may pick up this point, though we've come a long way in the past few years, cultural divides do still exist between founders and employees of big enterprises, between companies operating in the same industry, and even within one corporation. I do appreciate independent voices reminding us how to overcome misunderstandings, how to think outside the box, and, as Harold has said, how to keep up the atmosphere of departure that we do feel at the moment. After all, we are in this together, and you don't dump your long-term tennis partner only because you're developing a stronger backhand.
Thank you all. Many thanks to you, our viewers, for being with us today. And stay tuned here at DIA Primetime to feed your hungry soul and mind with more insights from around the world. Stay safe, stay close. Thank you.